And for the next talk, we have our young, dynamic chairman of the ARC, Dr. Chitra Ramurthy, who is going to be speaking to us about why SMILE is a better bet compared to traditional methods of laser vision correction. Dr. Chitra.
Thanks, Dr. Praveen. At the very outset, in the background of the differing technologies which are there and contesting and competing with each other, it seems relevant that we have an evidence-based understanding of why SMILE stands strong amongst them. Essentially, there have been hurdles here. There is a lack of uniformity in the reporting outcomes. There are lack of RCTs, and the meta-analysis are of low quality. However, the comparison of SMILE against LASIK is going to be compared in these 7 segments. Going further, it is seen that in different meta-analysis, the refractive outcomes when you compare SMILE to LASIK is equally efficacious and equally predictable. But there are certain limitations in SMILE. We all are aware that there is no tracking device or registration, no cyclotorsion compensation. And the treatment here, unlike in eczema, which is centered on the pupil center, here it auto-centers on the visual axis. However, said there, a small difference in the pupil center and visual axis does not indicate a decentered dot. So the next important thing, we need to look into the astigmatism. We do know that undercorrection of astigmatism is a bit of a bugbear in SMILE, but then in any other procedure too, it depends on the magnitude of cylinder correction, the presence of angle kappa, if there's significant ocular residual astigmatism, the head positioning is not appropriate, the docking is not done well, and if the lenticule extraction is not complete. But keeping this in mind, different proponents have come forward to tell us that there is 10 to 12% undercorrection of SMILE, which occurs more so in higher grades of astigmatism. But having said that, a comparison was done between SMILE and femto-LASIK in different studies, which showed that there were undercorrections even in femto-LASIK, and this was not statistically different. However, suggestions have come up about manual compensation, triple marking centration, the consideration of 10% increment in the refractive cylinder value, which was entered, which could be made as a standardized treatment protocol. When we talk of manual cyclotorsion compensation with a triple centration technique, you have the patient sitting on the sit lamp and you mark the 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock positions. And then you have them when they lie down. When you dock, you ensure that the reticule comes to overlie the 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock position. But again, although the results have been promising with lesser induction of higher order aberration or spherical aberration, in higher grades of astigmatism, there is no head-to-head comparison again. But the most effective role which SMILE plays is in the effective optic zone which it offers. We all know that in eczema, there is a peripheral energy loss and it becomes a smaller functional optic zone with induction of spherical aberration. And we all know that the effective optic zone size determines the area of greatest optical quality. And this is definitely reduced in femtosecond laser, LASIK as compared to SMILE. This was an older study where there were 100 eyes were compared for PRK, LASIK, and SMILE by Dan Reinstein with equal pachymetry thickness and flap or cap equal thickness. And he professed that the SMILE was biomechanically stable. This probably encouraged the refractive surgeons to think that since SMILE lenticule is being removed from the deeper stroma, which definitely contributes less to the biomechanical stability, that we could probably treat higher myopic errors. But largely, after understanding that our biomechanical tools are not that optimal, we would not try to treat more than -9 diopters even if we are doing a SMILE procedure. There were various studies which have come forward to claim with the existing biomechanical tools that the SMILE works favorably. We do understand that SMILE has a theoretical advantage of less weakening effect. It has inherent stronger biomechanics. And if you were to combine SMILE as a SMILE extra in some of these eyes at risk, the CRF has been found to be better. And the CXL has been found not only to cross-link the underlying stroma, but also the overlying cap.
1 minute
left. The sense of cross-linking is there, which gives it an extra edge. If you look at the ectasia, there have been very few numbers in meta-analysis, and some of these eyes where preoperatively it was not noted. However, there were many papers which come to claim that PRK strands better biomechanically, then comes SMILE and then LASIK, but these changes are too subtle to warrant a change in the screening criteria. Confocal microscopy again seems to show that there is some amount of stromal reaction in some of these eyes earlier on, but these were more in those learning curves where there was a variability in setting the energy parameters and the surgeon's skill. But something which stands to remember is that there's a large vertical cut which we are doing of femtolasic flap against a 3 millimeter to 5 millimeter cut with the SMILE incision. And this definitely ensures there's a less cutting of the nerve plexuses, and there's definitely less dry eye. In fact, there's a recovery of dry eye status after SMILE within a month as against a barren appearance with femtolasic procedure. Again, at different time points, when you look at the tear breakup time or the subnapasal nerve plexus or the corneal sensitivity or the tear osmolality, in all of these, SMILE scores over LASIK. If you look at the enhancement again in LASIK, it's 5 to 28% and just about 2.9% or less in SMILE. And the risk factors in SMILE are essentially patients over the age of 35, higher than -6 diopter, high astigmatism, and those who have had an intra-obstruction loss. And again, there are wonderful options which are there to consider if you're doing a SMILE enhancement. The most important and the last is that much discussed is the SMILE versus Contura. And there was one big study done by the Kanellopoulos where he claimed that Contura seemed to do better than SMILE. But we did a prospective study of 400 eyes wherein we found that both of them were equally predictable, equally safe, and equally efficacious. In fact, we looked at the higher order aberrations. The vertical coma was just a little more in SMILE and the spherical aberrations just a little more in Contura. In other words, the results seem to be equivalent. The residual error is a key factor. But most importantly, post-operatively, all patients who underwent SMILE seem to be more comfortable. So I would like to conclude stating that yes, SMILE is an excellent, safe, and predictable modality with immediate comfort and lack of dryness. Biomechanically, superiority seems to be likely, but that needs yet to be established with better, more sophisticated tools. Thank you.